All right, today we're going to dive into one of the most incredible stories in the entire Qur'an, the story of Prophet Yusuf, or Joseph as you might know him. It's often called the most beautiful of stories, and for good reason. It's this single, gripping narrative that's just absolutely jam-packed with lessons on patience, trust, and ultimately forgiveness. We're going to follow his journey from the very bottom, from the depths of betrayal, all the way to the heights of power.
And, it's described this way for a really specific reason. See, unlike a lot of other stories of the prophets, which are told in different parts across the Quran, Yusuf's story is given to us in one seamless go. It's a complete saga, It's got all the high-stakes drama, the deep emotional moments, and just profound divine wisdom woven through it all. So you might be thinking, okay, but why is this ancient story so important for us right now? Well, it's because it's basically a timeless guide for navigating some of life's toughest challenges. Things like jealousy, injustice, and temptation, all while holding on tight to your faith. So let's jump right in at the very start of his incredible life. Okay, so our story kicks off with a young Yusuf. He's one of 12 sons of the prophet Yaqub, or Jacob. Now, Yusuf and his younger full brother, Benjamin, were especially close to their father, and he loved them dearly. But, and this is a big but, this closeness planted a really dangerous seed of jealousy in the hearts of their 10 older half-brothers. And that jealousy is what sets this entire epic story in motion. It all begins with a dream, a magnificent one. Yusuf tells his father that he saw 11 stars, the sun and the moon, all bowing down to him. Now, when he tells his father this, who, remember, is also a prophet, Yaqub immediately understands the huge significance of this vision. He knew it was the sign of Yusuf's future greatness, but he also sensed danger. Yaqub immediately warns Yusuf, "Don't you dare tell your brothers about this dream." He was afraid their jealousy would just boil over into something dangerous. But somehow, they get wind of it, and their envy just explodes. Convinced their father loves Yusuf more, they come up with this truly cruel plan. They trick their dad into letting Yusuf come out with them, drag him far away from home, and throw him into a deep, dark well, leaving him for dead. And to cover their tracks, they take his shirt, stain it with animal blood, and go back to their heartbroken father, telling him a wolf attacked and killed his beloved son. Can you imagine? Stranded, betrayed, completely alone in the dark. It would have been so easy to just give up all hope. But this was all part of a bigger divine plan. And this is where we get our first look at a really core theme, tawakkul. That means having complete and total trust in God's plan, even when you can't see a single step ahead. And sure enough, a caravan happens to stop by that very well for water. They find the boy, pull him out, and take him all the way to Egypt to sell him as a slave. And just like that, his world is turned completely upside down. He's purchased by Al-Aziz, who's the chief minister of Egypt. Think about that. He goes from the darkness and despair of a well to a life of comfort in one of the most powerful households in the land. And here, he shows another incredible quality, sabr. That's this beautiful, unwavering patience through all this hardship. But this new life was about to bring an even harder test. So as Yusuf grows into this incredibly wise and handsome young man, the wife of Al-Aziz, a woman named Zuleika, develops this intense obsession with him. One day, she tries to seduce him. He absolutely refuses and makes a run for the door. She grabs at him from behind, tearing his shirt just as her husband walks in. Can you believe the timing? She immediately flips the story and accuses Yusuf. But the evidence was right there, undeniable. His shirt was torn from the back. That proves he was running away from her, not the other way around. This is a perfect example of his ishon, his excellence of character, always doing the right thing, even when he thinks no one's watching. So even though his innocence was pretty clear, Al-Aziz had to protect his family's honor from all the gossip. So he makes a choice. And faced with this impossible situation, Yusuf makes this powerful prayer. He basically says he'd rather go to jail than give in to sin and displease God. And so, just like that, the innocent prophet Yusuf is thrown into a dungeon. But you know what? Even in the darkness of a prison cell, Yusuf's light couldn't be put out. It's actually here that God blesses him with a very special gift, the ability to interpret dreams. And that very same skill connected to his childhood vision, well, that was going to become his key to freedom. So years go by. Then, one day, the king of Egypt himself has this really weird dream that none of his advisors can make any sense of. He dreams of 7 fat, healthy-looking cows being eaten by 7 skinny, weak ones. And then he sees 7 green, healthy ears of corn being overtaken by 7 dry, withered ones. Everyone is stumped. But right then, a former cellmate of Yusuf's, who now works for the king, has this light bulb moment. He remembers Yusuf's incredible gift for interpreting dreams. So they bring the dream to Yusuf, and this is the amazing part. He doesn't just interpret it, he gives them a full-on action plan. He explains that the dream means there will be 7 years of incredible harvest, but they'll be followed by 7 years of a terrible famine. And he advises the king to save up all the extra food during the good years. The king is just completely blown away by this wisdom. He immediately orders Yusuf to be released from prison. But Yusuf, being a man of unshakable principle, does something that changes the entire game. He refuses to leave. He's not just going to accept a pardon, he demands that his name be cleared, that the whole truth about what happened in Al-Aziz's house finally be brought out into the open. This forces the king to launch a full investigation. And when Zuleika is called to testify, full of remorse, she finally confesses everything and declares to the world that Yusuf was completely innocent. So, with his honor totally restored and his wisdom on full display for everyone to see, the king entrusts Yusuf with the future of the entire nation. He's appointed to one of the highest positions in all of Egypt, in charge of the treasuries. The boy thrown in a well, the man unjustly thrown in jail, is now the one in a position to save the whole region. What a turnaround. And sure enough, just as Yusuf had predicted, after 7 years of plenty, a massive famine hits the entire region, including his old homeland. People are desperate, and they start traveling from all over to Egypt to buy grain. And guess who shows up in that line? You got it, the 10 older brothers who had betrayed him all those years ago. Yusuf knows exactly who they are the second he sees them. But to them, he's just some powerful Egyptian official. So he decides to test them, to see if their hearts had really changed. He gives them the grain they need, but tells them they have to bring their youngest brother Benjamin with them next time. When they come back, Yusuf sets up a situation where Benjamin is accused of theft. This is the ultimate test. Are they going to abandon another brother, just like they did to him? Or will they finally show some loyalty? When he sees their genuine pain, how they plead and even offer themselves in Benjamin's place, he knows they are not the same men who threw him in that well. And that's when he poses this absolutely heart-stopping question. The way he says it, mentioning Yusuf and his brother, you can just imagine the slow, dawning horror on their faces as the pieces start clicking into place. Just try to imagine that moment. The shock, the guilt, the absolute terror. They must have thought, this is it. He's going to get his revenge. But instead of revenge, Yusuf offers them grace. This is the absolute climax of his journey, a beautiful demonstration of Ghufran. That's the strength to forgive even the deepest, most painful betrayals. He reveals who he is and immediately gives all the credit for his survival to God's plan. And with that one incredibly powerful act of forgiveness, the entire story just comes full circle. Yusuf invites his whole family, including his father, Yaqub, who had been grieving all these years, to come and live with him in Egypt. And this sets the stage for the final fulfillment of that dream he had as a little boy. So when we step back, what are the huge takeaways from this incredible story? We saw sabr, that beautiful patience in the darkness of the well and the loneliness of prison. We saw tawakkul, that complete trust in God's plan, even when everything looked hopeless. We saw ihsan, that excellence of character when he resisted temptation and served with total integrity. And finally, we saw ghufran, the profound power of forgiveness that healed an entire family. In the final, beautiful scene, his family arrives in Egypt, and his father, his mother, and all 11 of his brothers bow before him. Now, it's really important to understand, this wasn't an act of worship. It was a gesture of profound respect for the station and the honor that God had given him. The vision from the very beginning of the story was now a stunning, unbelievable reality. And that leaves us with one final thought to carry with us. The story of Prophet Yusuf is a powerful reminder that even when we're in our own darkest wells or our loneliest prisons, a divine plan is always at work. With patience and with faith, the end of our story can be more beautiful than we could ever imagine. So the real question for us is, how can we bring that same profound patience into our own lives and our own trials?